Hello, today I'm going to be showing you my 1cc of Arrange Original with the Type 1 ship. Arrange Original is different than Arcade Original. The difficulty is a bit easier. You have a rank meter at the top right that starts at low rank, so you get some easier patterns along with an upgrade bar, like a Gradius upgrade bar at the bottom that you can use to upgrade your ship. I decide to skip going into break mode because I want to use the stage to upgrade my ship as much as possible to ensure survivability in the later stages. I opt in for the option upgrade first. Upgrading your options is a really good survival trick, especially with the Type 1 ship since its options are very powerful. And I'll skip break mode again here, using my lock-ons and getting as many medals as possible. As you obtain more medals, your upgrade meter fills up faster, and especially if you have a higher multiplier, then it upgrades fairly quickly. Once I get the two option upgrades, I'll then go for a lock upgrade, and then I'll go into break mode before this rush comes in just to maximize the meter that I get. And you can see the meter filling up very quickly, and I'm just holding down the break button to max up my lock upgrades. And now I have my homing upgrade, which is extremely powerful for Type 1 ship, especially for survivability. Now that I have my shield, my ship is nearly fully maxed out, so I just upgrade my speed very quickly here. So I'm fully maxed out, I'm in a good position before the first boss. And I'll go into break mode. My strategy here is that I want to stock up on extends as quickly as possible. I like having the insurance policy of having a full life bar before the game gets too tough. So in the earlier stages, I'll play a little bit more aggressively to get EX stars, which are the bigger medals, and the smaller stars so that I can get as many extends as possible. Also in the earlier stages, if I do happen to lose my shield, I'm not too worried. Losing your shield lowers your rank. So right now I'm at high rank and I get the arcade mode patterns. Losing your shield lowers the rank so that the patterns become easier, the bullets get slower, less dense. And I think, here I lose my shield, but I'm not too worried. Stage 1 and Stage 2 are very manageable, especially when I have the homing upgrade and full lock-on, so I'm not too worried. Going into Stage 2, I do a lock on here to take care of all these enemies at once to get a decent multiplier, because I want to get my shield back as soon as possible. Now I'm fully upgraded again and I let my options do the work. Really good thing about the homing options is that they seek enemies automatically. You can't really control where they go, but you can sort of control it based on who you're firing on, and because they go to whoever is left on the screen. Here I'm going into double break and I'm extending it, being a little bit aggressive only because I want to get my extends as soon as possible. Going into double break and especially extending it is a really good way to do that. It does increase your rank very quickly, so if things do get a little hectic, don't worry about extending your break. Another good thing about breaking often is that with each activation, you get a period of invulnerability where you can reposition yourself if you have to. So going into the second half of this stage, this is where the famous carts come in. The carts are really good for scoring opportunity, but also a really good source of medals where if you do happen to die and lose some upgrades, you can very easily play some catch up and re-upgrade your ship to get all your power-ups. In addition, it's a very good source of medals and stars so that I can get my extends. So right now I'm at 4 extends, and I'm approaching the 5th one here. Another really good perk of going into break and especially double break is the increase in firepower that you get. And that combined with the homing options and the full lock-ons, I am just melting all the enemies here, and I'm not really doing much dodging because my firepower is so high. So the stage 2 boss, key here is going to be destroying all the parts, as many parts as possible, so that you don't have as many bullets coming at you. The more parts you destroy, the later patterns get a little easier to dodge. Of course, the key here is, doing damage to the boss as fast as possible, which the homing options are going to do. And then breaking defensively like that to avoid any nastier patterns. Like that one at the end of the first phase is really nasty. That one is kind of nasty too, so I go into double break just to avoid having to dodge. And you'll see that I do that in later stages as well. So I squeak by those purple bullets that fall down, and I'm just here to do as much damage as possible. I have break mode available to me again, which I do here. So I want to take advantage of the extra firepower and avoid that pattern, which I do get hit and I lose my shield, but I'm not too worried. With the metal pickup there, I'm already at more than halfway through my upgrade meter, so I have break mode available to me. I can also get the shield if I wanted to at the beginning of the next level. At the start of stage 3, I do another full lock on here so that I can upgrade my meter as fast as possible and get some medals. My goal here is that I want to get that shield as soon as possible before the rush gets too intense, which I do here. Now that I have my shield, I can play a little bit, or I have a little bit more of a peace of mind with my dodging. And so I go into break mode. This big ship can be a nuisance, so I go into break and double break to take care of it quickly, just due to the extra firepower. And then coming up again is this big mushroom, which can be a problem, but with 2 full lock-ons that are slightly delayed, you can take care of it even when you're out of break. And so you just hang back. I get tagged by, I'm not really sure, even looking at the replay here, what I got tagged by, but it's alright, I had my shield, so I'm okay. So next up I'll be looking to get my shield back. With this mid-boss, you'll follow, there isn't a particular lane to follow, but I hang out to the top left here because I never want to chance it with that yellow laser. With this part, you want to misdirect where the laser is going to fire. It'll kind of fire at you, so you want to juke it at the last minute. With this pattern, I don't like dodging this pattern at all, so I use my break mode to give myself a little chance to reposition myself and take care of the boss that way. I end up with the full multiplier at the end of that boss, which is very good here, so being in double break makes this part very, very manageable. And I'm going to go into break as soon as possible here. With this rush in the second part of stage 3, being in break mode is very helpful to quickly dispatch enemies, and with the homing option, since you're taking care of enemies so quickly, you'll end up destroying enemies before they really even get on the screen. And so I'm hanging out towards the middle of the screen. I don't want to hang too far back. That way I have as much real estate on the screen as possible. Again, with this 2 full lock-ons with that big mushroom takes care of it. These dragonflies, I opt in to get the medals here just so I can keep extending my breaks. Sometimes it could be a little risky getting all the medals when you destroy those, but it's up to your comfort zone. If you do get all the medals, then you'll be able to extend your break quite a bit, almost to the end of the level. And so here I'm just dodging through the gaps. I'm waiting until I get my next break, and because I'm getting breaks so often, it's giving me many opportunities for invulnerability that I can reposition myself. I can be more aggressive if I want to. And with double break here, these ships are going to be destroyed quite easily here, as you can see. And then I almost forget about these last set of ships that pop out, so I almost got hit there, but luckily I dodged out of the way. So here comes the stage 3 boss. This one, there's a relative spot where I just hang out where I know I'm not going to get hit. So sometimes you can follow the boss to destroy it faster, but I know I had the break mode available, so I use the break mode to dodge the beginning part of that pattern, which can be a little troublesome, and then just destroy it as fast as possible. So I go into double break. I'm just here I'm not destroying any of the petals since I'm not aiming for score. If I do happen to destroy any petals, what I call the merry-go-round phase does get a little bit more difficult because those blue bullets that are slowly radiating from the center thicken and they get denser as you destroy more petals. But with break mode, you're able to temporarily cancel those lasers to give yourself a little bit of breathing room. And then, oh, I almost finished that phase without losing my shield, and I got hit right when I destroyed it. But I did get an extend, so now I'm sitting at a full set of extends, feeling pretty good. This phase gets a little bit dense, and I could have gotten away with not activating break mode there, but I think I did it just to be on the safe side to destroy the boss. So I waste a break, but that's okay. So I'm heading into stage 4, no miss so far. I'm feeling pretty good. Full set of extends and a fully upgraded ship, mostly. The beginning of stage 4 is going to be a good opportunity for me to fill up my meter so I can get my shield back. Start off the stage hanging towards the left to immediately pick off those ships. And after a little while, I head over to the right since that's where they're all going to be coming from. When that metal drops, a little bit after, then the first rush happens. And I head to the left, then to the corner, and I creep down the bottom of the screen as slow as possible. I grab my shield, and then eventually there's going to be an opening where you can then reposition yourself. This stage is a perfect example of using break mode to avoid patterns that I don't want to dodge. So I don't activate it yet because these patterns are okay with these destroyers. Eventually I will use break mode to coincide with the first mid-boss that comes. So not quite yet. So I let the meter fill, not too worried. So now I activate break mode after these sets of destroyers that come. I'll do double break in this mid-boss. I do not like dodging these patterns. So this pattern isn't too bad to dodge. You sneak between the red bullets. That radiating pattern, you didn't even get to see it come out because I melted the boss, but it is pretty difficult to dodge. So if I'm in double break, then I don't have to worry about dodging it. This mid-boss, I also go into break mode just to destroy it as fast as possible. Here it isn't too bad. The boss, that pattern wants to pull you into the middle so that you can get hit by that machine gun that sprays down the middle. But if I'm in double break, then here I extend it, and I don't have to worry about dodging the bullets of those turrets, which intensifies as you destroy the boss more. In a scoring run, ideally you would destroy both of those and the ship. So here with the cat side, before the circle fills up, I do as many lock-ons as possible to maximize my damage, and then as soon as I get break mode, I just activate break mode and then do full lock-ons, and you're going to see here that I'm not really even dodging much. I'm breaking, going into double break mode, and I'm just sitting there doing full lock-ons, letting my homing options do the work, doing some very, very light dodging, but for the most part, this part, if you're in double break, it becomes very easy. Heading into the second rush, this is the part before the first boss where you have to make some adjustments. The first one, eventually before the boss starts, you're going to want to be changing your sight from, the radial sight to the front lock-on. That's going to help. Another thing that'll help, if you want, you can change into the formation, regular formation instead of homing, which could make destroying the stage 4 boss parts easier. However, doing that makes this part difficult, so I opt in to just keep my homing option. There I actually accidentally switched to the formation because I thought the upgrade meter was going to be in the brake, so I mistimed my button press. But I do get the targeted sight, the frontal lock-on ready, and then I'm in a good position for the stage 4 boss. So for this one, you want to destroy each part ideally as fast as possible. So I focus on not the leftmost turret, but the one on the right. I end up destroying the one on the right just because of where my homing options are located. I lose my shield, but that's alright. I just want to do as much damage as possible just to make this pattern easier. So I destroy the first phase. This one you can milk those turrets if you wanted to, but I'm not concerned about milking those turrets. I'm just concerned about destroying this phase as fast as possible. Here you want to time the lock on, especially with it's harder with the homing options, but you want to time your lock on so that you can destroy each turret and go back and forth. With this third phase, you want to hang out right underneath the wing so that you can avoid the mines. The mines will shoot revenge bullets. If you do have break mode though, you don't really have to worry. You can activate break mode like I did there and cancel all those revenge bullets. And with break mode and the homing options, the boss just gets melted. So I'm ending stage 4 with a no miss, full set of extends. I'm feeling really good. Heading into stage 5 with full resources is always nice. Me personally, I tend to need those resources because on the last boss I start to lose lives. So you'll see that yes, it's not a no miss run. I'll start to fall apart a little bit towards the end here. Starting off with stage 5, I hang out at the top of the screen to dispatch those tanks. And then I do a full lock on here just so that I can get into break mode as soon as possible. Being out of break mode in this level in general is a little bit dangerous due to the sheer amount of enemies that come at you. And here I go into double break. These big lasers will sometimes cut you off. They'll seem like they're firing where you're going, and so you just got to be careful. And sometimes it seems like they're coming out of nowhere. This big tank is important. It'll try to cut you off as well. And that one as well. And I'm just using my targeted sight. I haven't switched my sight yet because the targeted sight lets me target those big turrets very quickly. So as long as I only have 1 or 2 firing at me at any given time, it's manageable. It's when you don't kill them fast enough, then you have the screen cut off by 3 huge lasers that it causes a problem. These ships that pop up with those missiles, you want to be very careful when you move laterally. Sometimes those missiles can tag you, but if you're in break, then you shouldn't have an issue here. So here comes the first rush. You're going to have 2 sets of tanks that are going to line up, one on the left and one on the right. They'll just continuously spawn and shoot bullets at you. I was a bit too far forward, so I lose my shield. But generally, the strategy for this part as well is to go into break mode to maximize your firepower, go into double break, and use those moments where you go into break to reposition yourself with the invulnerability frames that you get. And especially with the big ships, if you have the targeted sight still, to just unload on them as fast as possible. And here I'm gonna go, so I lost my shield, so I decide not to go into break mode, which is a little bit risky, but I want the insurance policy of having a shield. And so it makes it a little bit tougher in this section, but I get my shield back, and so now I'm just looking to survive as long as possible until I get my break, which I get here. And now here we are upcoming to the mid-boss. So this mid-boss could be a potential run killer, meaning that if you die during this mid-boss, of course if you die at any point you lose your upgrades. You want to approach the second rush of the stage with full upgrades. That's going to allow you to survive the easiest. So it's really important that if I have a shield, I can lose my shield, but then to not get hit again and lose my upgrades here. So I'm just hanging out and I destroy that top right turret as fast as possible. I lose my shield because I get tagged by those missiles that come up, but because I have my homing options, I can just hang out in the corner of the screen and pick off the mid-boss. So here I made a very grave mistake. I wasn't paying attention and I did not switch off of my frontal targeted sight. That is very, very bad for this because the spider tanks come from behind you. So although I have my homing options, there's no way I have no way of using an actual lock-on to destroy the tank. So I'm stuck trying to dodge this pattern, which is difficult, especially with the tanks falling down. So I lose my first life here, which at this point I'm very nervous. This section gets very difficult with the more lives you lose because your ship loses upgrades. And so here I'm stuck trying to dodge this pattern with the spider tank boss, along with dodging the tanks that come up above me. The only thing you can do is just use as many lock-on attacks as quickly as possible just to destroy the spider tank. So I managed to do it here, and so now I have an option here. I can go into break, just to use the upgrades I have to break and maximize my output. But I decide to go for the shield just to give myself an insurance policy. I've had many runs end at this point or in this section of the game, so I use a shield because I really don't want to die. My next upgrade that I'm going to choose is the homing option. The homing option makes this section very easy because I hang out towards the left of the screen. I kind of divide and conquer when I can. As I destroy enemies on the left side of the screen, my homing options will then target the mini boss on the right. And so for this second one, I'm hanging out towards the right of the screen. You'll see my homing options are on the left, shooting the boss for me. Kind of like divide and conquer. And then I lose another life here, so now I'm really nervous. Here it's very easy to get chain deaths when you lose your upgrades just because of the sheer amount of enemies that are coming at you. But thankfully I had my break, so I used my break. And it's just a matter of squeaking by through the gaps, and hopefully by the time you reach the other side of the screen, you'll have another break that you can use to then reposition yourself with the invulnerability. But here I'm just mashing on the lock-on button. I use my break, reposition, and I'm just mashing the lock-on button to try to destroy that mini boss, which I did. So here I'm at the final boss. I have all but one extend on my extend bar. I don't have all my upgrades, so that's going to be a problem for me later, but I'm feeling pretty good. These little mini turrets can gang up on you. The hard part about this portion is when you have a lot of them, timing when you're going to cut back. So here I get walled off and I mistime my cut back, so I lose my another life here. This is another part where homing options are very powerful because they'll just follow those turrets around and destroy them. So another disadvantage of losing your life and losing your upgrades is that for this part, your speed gets decreased. So the Type 1 speed, when it is not upgraded, is very slow. At this part, it isn't too big of an issue. In the last phase of this boss and for the TLB, it is an issue if you are too slow because you're not fast enough to dodge the patterns or actually dodge the boss itself. And so here I'm moving side to side to dodge these huge patterns, and I would have gotten hit there if I didn't activate break mode, so it was lucky on my part. Here I'm hanging out towards the middle of the boss, and then I move laterally right when those bullets fire, because the bullets will fire and they'll cross at the middle, and I just move to the side and tap dodge to the side here. This pattern seems fairly random. I have always had trouble dodging this pattern, and there are just a few instances there where I should have gotten hit. I'm not sure how I did not get hit, but somehow I passed through the patterns. And here, since I'm in double break, I just destroy these turrets that'll respawn as fast as possible. End up crossing into a laser and I lose another extend. But I still have 5, so I'm feeling pretty good. The silver lining about losing lives during this boss and that the rank gets lowered, so the patterns get easier and the bullets and lasers get slower. Especially at low rank with this bouncing phase, the boss is just bouncing. At a higher rank, the boss will bounce and fire bullets at you. If your speed is too slow in this section, usually what I'll do, and I there I thought I would squeak by in the corner, but the boss killed me. If your speed is too slow, I'd recommend actually upgrading your speed so that you can pass underneath the boss. At a higher rank, the boss bounces a lot faster, so if your speed is too slow, like there, my speed is way too slow, I couldn't cross over in time to dodge the boss. So in there I was, even if I had hung out in the corner, I would have gotten hit, so I had no choice but to cross through, but because my speed was so slow, I got hit. So I have 3 extents for the TLB, not the most ideal. I do have the targeted sight, the frontal lock-on, which will help. A key about the frontal lock-on is that even if you're not fully upgraded, you can just really target and do very quick lock-on attacks, and you can see the damage that I've done so far just through this first pattern. This pattern is fairly random, but you just have to squeak through the gaps. Here you kind of juke the boss, and oh, I barely get over. My ship is very, very slow, so I'm trying to go around the boss, but it's just too slow and the boss just clips me. So this pattern, I have break mode, which I'm going to use defensively. This pattern has bullets curving and they bounce off the walls, and it's really hard to track where they're coming from. But I managed to get back there, so now second TLB, I have 2 lives left. I get the frontal lock on. If anything, even if you lose your upgrades, getting the frontal lock on is a really good advantage to have here. So here I have to weave through the tiny little red bullets while avoiding like the big wave that he fires at you, and you have to kind of go against the wave, and I mistimed it there and I got hit. And now here it's just strafing back and forth to dodge the barrage. There's nothing I can really do to damage it. My ship speed is so slow that if I did a lock-on attack, my ship would slow down so much that I would get hit. And so now I got the frontal lock-on again, and so now here's the final attack. I am dodging these bullets, and I know I almost have break mode. I'm looking at the meter, kind of have one eye on the meter, one eye on the bullets. As soon as I get break, I'm going to break. And when I do, I glance at the boss health, and knowing that even though I have 0 lives, I am in the clear, since it'll take time for those bullets to come back down after I cancel them when going to break mode. So this is a good reason why I like to hoard extends and hoard resources for the final boss, in case I begin to choke on the final boss in the TLB patterns. I have enough lives to allow me to squeak through. And in arrange mode, I got the easier version of that final attack from losing so many lives, so it's makes dying not so bad, but hey, a clear is a clear. And if you found this guide helpful and this commentary helpful, and you're looking to try another mode, I have an arrange boost 1cc commentary for your enjoyment, and thanks for watching.